Hello everybody, this is King506 and we are going to be talking about Ash's Goodra in this episode, and what the main objective of this episode is a scenario that I have depicted, and it's quite complex regarding Goodra. And in recent scans of Pokemon the movie 18, the Arc de Genie of Rings Hoopa, Ash's Goodra isn't involved with Ash's team in the bios, and I have a reasonable explanation for this. And the reasonable explanation for this is that Goodra is gone, and what the main objective is Goodra is trying to learn how to control a specific move, similar to how Gliscor used Giga Impact back in the Sinnoh region. And that move would be Outrage, and it would be the first Pokemon to know Outrage in the anime as a whole. In Johto, there was a Dragonite in an episode near Blackthorn City, and it went on a Outrage, and the main thing that they called it was Attack Rage. But since they called it that, it wasn't known as Outrage at the time. The only time it was known as Outrage was when Claire notified it back in the Decalore Islands episode, with her catching a shiny Druddigan. So, what I am about to say for this would be having the Elite Four member Drasna train Ash's Goodra. Since none of the Kalos Region Elite Four has been unveiled yet in the Pokemon XY anime, except for Wickstrom versus Diantha in the opening credits of the last movie. But no Elite Four members of the Kalos region has been unveiled to Ash, as is tradition, because they usually meet at least one of the Elite Four members in every region. So, in the Kanto region, Ash met up with Bruno, Lorelei, Agatha, and Lance. In Johto, even though he wasn't mentioned as an Elite Four member at the time, he met up with Koga in Kanto. In Hoenn, he battled against Drake. In Sinnoh, he met up with Flint, Bertha, Aaron, and Lucian. In Unova, he met up with Caitlin. And then in Kalos, none has been available yet. So, and he has met all of the champions of the past 5 regions. Lance in Johto, Steven in Hoenn, Cynthia in Sinnoh, Alder in Unova, and Diantha here in Kalos. So, I think this would be the perfect opportunity on showcasing the Elite Four members in the X and Y anime. So, since it seems that Goodra will be leaving, I think this scenario would be perfect on allowing Goodra to leave, because it's for a reasonable purpose, on learning how to hone down and control his Outrage attack. So, the main objective of Drasna is helping Goodra learn that, because she is a Dragon Master. And since Drasna is a Dragon Master, I think this is the perfect opportunity to provide the Elite Four member in the X and Y anime. So, since Ash would be returning back down to 4, I think this would be a perfect opportunity for Drasna and Ash to trade temporarily, but in the end, Ash gets to keep both. So, since Goodra will be leaving temporarily to help learn and control Outrage, Ash will be acquiring a Noibat from Drasna to fill Goodra's void that it will be left. So, since Goodra is a dragon type and Noibat is also a dragon type, don't focus on the flying aspect of Noibat, but focus on the dragon typing. And since the dragon type is the most influential type this season, because this is the first generation with the dragon type as a weakness. So, since Noibat comes in, and it will evolve into Noivern, acting as the powerhouse, but since Goodra already owns that role, we would have 2 powerhouses for Ash's team. And since all of that information, just look deep into yourself and tell me what you thought of that scenario with Drasna being an Elite 4 member helping Ash and his Goodra, because since they will be arriving shortly at Goodra's homeland, and since we really don't know where Drasna comes from, maybe she is one of the leaders of that homeland, and she acquires Ash's Goodra to help teach and control Outrage. So, since Ash is at 5 Pokemon, and with Goodra temporarily leaving, Noibat/Noivern takes the 5th spot role, with Goodra as a 7th Pokemon, so to speak, with it gone with Drasna, and since the 6th slot will still be open, Ash can still acquire a 6th Pokemon, even though technically he already has all 6. But since they're swapping out Dragon type for Dragon type, this is just a scenario, but since they're going to be swapping out Dragon type for Dragon type, technically Noibat is the weakest Dragon type, but based on base stats. But this doesn't apply to the X and Y anime, as obviously it can tell. But since Noivern can act as a powerhouse, we have the potential to see the best party that was built for Ash. And sure, 3 of them are weak to ice types, technically, but since Hawlucha is fighting type, yada yada yada. But 3 birds doesn't sound that appealing, but I think this is the best route, because all of the anime, Ash has been acquainted with an Elite 4 member. And since the events leading up to movie 18 in July, there will be needing something to build up to. And since all of these legendary Pokemon that will be involved, there is going to be Pokemon needing to be as powerful enough to block these attacks and save all the people in the city. So, sure, Goodra fits that bill, but I want to see Noivern. Noivern is a strong Pokemon if used correctly. So, with these 5 Pokemon indulged in a 5-man setup with the 6 Pokemon unavailable, but we still have 1 spot available for a future Pokemon. So, that's just me speaking aloud on if that is to happen, Goodra to be released, quotation marks, but if it's for a greater purpose than just saying bye bye, see you later, because I think it would be redundant since this is Ash going for his 6th badge after the Clement episode in XY67, but this is just an opinion, a scenario, and if this is the route they're going for. So, Noibat will act as the powerhouse. Talonflame / Fletchender, if it evolves, will act as the scouter. Howlucha will be the funny goofball fighting type. Frogadier / Greninja and Pikachu will act as their awesome badass selves. So, if this is based only solely on the fact that the bios didn't showcase Goodra, but since we know it's going to be fully evolving in X and Y 65, Tierno and Raichu appear, best of luck Sliggoo, we will be needing someone to fill that role. So I'm thinking this is the best route that the writers are going. I want to hear you guys' feedback if this scenario is deemed correct, but this is just based solely on speculation. I'm not going to say Ash is going to catch Noibat, Ash is going to catch Noibat. I'm just saying if Ash's Goodra is released, Ash is going to need a dragon type to fill Goodra's role. So, all in all, I think Noibat could fill the role left by Goodra because it is a powerhouse in its own right if used correctly. Ash's Goodra, it will be Ash's powerhouse of this generation. Yes, Ash's Goodra evolved very, very quickly in a span of 10 episodes, but considering all of the facts that we know, the poster unveiled Noibat in the Pikachu short, there was no Goodra in the bios, and there was no Noibat. But since we don't have any Pokemon the Movie 18 scans yet, we only know of the bios of the main 4 Pokemon of Ash's team: Pikachu, Frogadier, Fletchender, and Howlucha. There is no Noibat, no Goodra. So, I'm just putting it out there if this scenario is deemed correct, and I think it could happen. So, hit a like if you like this video, hit a subscribe if you really like it. This is just the Poke King 506 speaking aloud, so farewell everybody and have a